Hey guys, how you doing today? Tuesday, we're going to do Mobility Tuesday today because I was just catching up yesterday, had the weekend away for my 11th wedding anniversary. Really nice weekend, unplugged. We left the kids behind and my wife and I escaped. How about you? Hope you had a good weekend, hope you're feeling on track and you were ploughing on with your 30-day reset, keeping the momentum up. I'm about to go for a run. It was a really early start this morning, shit night's sleep last night. Didn't feel like a run this morning. I needed energy in the tank. Usually I do fasted runs. Today, I've been sitting in a chair, a lot of driving over the weekend. I just feel chair-shaped, which for me is a real problem. Makes me feel kind of angry and my body tells me, it keeps on giving me cues and signals that I need to mobilize, I need to release. And until I do, I feel kind of like tetchy and I get a bit, I climb the walls a bit. So anyway, I'm not in disguise, it's baking hot here and I have to cover up from the sun. So I'm going to go for a run. I need to open up my ankles, my hips, lower back. So I'm just going to do a little mobility routine. I'm going to film it. Hope you find it useful. What are we doing? I'm trying to open up mainly my hip flexors, my lower back, and I'm trying to kind of mobilize my ankles ready for running. So these are a couple of things I'm going to just piece together. Some of them you might have seen, but they're useful in a sequence, especially if you spend a lot of time seated or if you've been doing a lot of time driving or if you're prone to tight hip flexors, which most people are. So I'm going to start off working something tibialis anterior, the muscle here that a lot of people kind of, when they get shin splints, that kind of catch-all term, they're referring to kind of trigger points and pain that can show up in the tibialis anterior. This is neglected. You can foam roll it. It can be painful when you get trigger points around here. Not many people stretch it. So what I'm going to do, first thing, I'm going to have my toes down like that. I'm going to sit on my heels. I'm just going to spend 20 to 30 seconds just stretching out, okay, the tibialis anterior. Now it's not a major stretch, not a really strong stretch, just we don't often spend time in this position, so this can really help if you have a history of shin splints. Throw this in from time to time, grab the foam roller and try and roll as well that muscle. So I'm going to do this, okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on tucking the toes. So I'm in a kind of paleo chair with the heels lifted, okay. So I'm going to show you from the side. What I'm trying to do now is I'm just trying to focus on stretching under my big toe, okay. So I'm going to keep my toes tucked under. I'm going to bring them a bit closer together. I'm going to really tuck the toes under and I'm going to sit on my heels. What I'm doing is I'm loading the big toe and I'm stretching the fascia under the arch of the foot, okay. All of this strong fascia under the arch of the foot and into the big toe. Again, a lot of people have hallux rigidus or hallux limitus, which means the big toe gets tight, doesn't move properly, it gets kind of bent to one direction and they get a lot of stiffness and pain in the big toe. This is a really good thing to do. So I'm going to sit here for about 20 seconds just stretching through the arch and the big toe, and then I'm going to put my fingers down and I'm going to push back into this position, this paleo chair position. And what I'm doing here is I'm keeping my heels slightly elevated, and I'll show you from the front. I am just going to basically rock a little bit on each ankle and I'm trying to mobilize, I'm trying to stretch out the Achilles tendon, the back of the ankle which gets really tight, and I'm just trying to mobilize on each side, loosen up my ankle. And I'm going to alternate from this position with the toes tucked like I just showed you, this position, about 5 seconds here, plant the fingers, push back into this position, rock and just groove, stretch the Achilles tendon, mobilize each angle. I'm going to do about 5 reps. Deep breath, fingers down, shoulders back and down, stretch. Right ankle is feeling a little bit tighter today, so I'm going to prioritize my right ankle. Really stretch that big toe, the arch of the foot, get some weight on it, get some pressure on it, rock from side to side. This is rep 3, okay? I'm pushing each heel down to the floor. I'm trying to get my heels flat, but I'm prioritizing stretching the Achilles tendon. I'm not doing a full paleo chair like that. Whoa, I'm facing downhill, I'm going to fall over. Okay, 2 more reps. Stretch, deep breath, groove, stretch through those ankles. Okay, and then last one from the front. Okay, deep breath, stretch the toe and the arch of the foot, plant the fingers, keep a good shoulder position, and just loosen up. Okay, cool. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Second thing, now I'm going to do Walden drops to rock back. I've shown these before, but I didn't get it all in the frame. So this is what they look like. These are brilliant for loosening up, mobilizing the lower back, opening up the thoracic spine, getting the shoulders back and down, but mainly for opening up the hip flexors, the psoas, the single joint hip flexor that attaches from the spine across the joint to the hip. They get very, very tight and they pull people into this anterior tilt. So we're going to loosen these up. So you start here, feet together, knees about 10 inches apart. Reach forwards, bum on your heels, reach forwards, and do this little kind of preacher stretch where I'm stretching, I'm planting my hands and I'm pulling back to stretch under my lats. I'm going to take a deep belly breath with my belly in between my thighs, and then I'm going to do this. Shoulders back and down. Mobilize the lumbar spine, and I'm going to roll. We're just going to pry my hips. I'm stretching the psoas, the hip flexor on each side. As I exhale, push back. That's 1 rep. Deep breath. Exhale fully here. Shoulders back and down. Lock out the arms. Got a mouthful of grass. Relax your bum. Relax your glutes. Open up those hip flexors. Okay. Loosen those tight hip flexors. So I'm going to do about 6 reps. Stretch under the armpits. Pull back. Deep breath. Tight. Push all the way back, bum on your heels, loosen up the hips into flexion of the lumbar spine. You're going through a full range of motion in the lumbar spine. I like to lock out my triceps, shoulders back and down, really pry those hips. Relax your glutes, don't tighten your glutes, relax your glutes. Open up the front of those hips. Okay, 2 more. Push back, stretch, deep breath. Careful of your lower back, okay? Don't force anything. Avoid pain. If you have any kind of disc injury, disc bulge, disc pain, don't do that. Okay, next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into a 90-90 position, 90 degrees, tuck the toes, and I'm going to come down. I'm going to switch this left glute on, I'm going to tuck my tail, and this is going to stretch my 2 joint hip flexor here, rectus femoris, and also the psoas, the single joint hip flexor. Just going to tuck it under. I'm going to hold that. I can feel a good stretch here. Hold it for 30 seconds, and I'm going to just gently with my breathing, I'm just going to groove, but I'm holding this tense and tucked, 0 degrees here. Just going to gently groove to loosen up the hip flexors 5 times. I'm going to switch sides.